Hey, what's going on, guys? Thanks for tuning in to Wingate Solutions. I hope you're doing well. So it's been a little while since I brought you guys an EDC type video, so that's what I'm going to do today. All right, let's get into it. All right, let's talk EDC for a second. So obviously this is going to depend on where you live, kind of what your philosophy is on what you need every day. Everyday carry. It's something that a lot of guys are into, me included. I think it's cool. I think it's important to have kind of the staples of something that you are going to carry as often as you can, right? That's kind of the point. A lot of people that are in our space honestly don't carry things as often as they should, or they only carry certain items when they're in a particular environment. And I think that's kind of the backwards mindset. We should carry an EDC that we have with us at all times, obviously with exception. Like there's times you can't have certain things with you, like firearms, that sort of thing. I get it. I try to stay away from those sort of places, but a lot of people only carry when they think they may need those items. I think that's kind of a wrong way of thinking about it. I'd rather have certain things and just have them be my norm and have them on me at all times and not have to use them. That's kind of awesome. I don't want to have to use most of the tools that I train with and work with. But I want to have them with me just in case, right? And it's about consistency, what you're actually going to carry every day. So a lot of guys get like a little bit too lost in the weeds on this type of mindset, and they want to carry everything in the kitchen sink. That's the other end of the spectrum. I'm not all about that either. I think guys kind of forget the fact that we're constantly, around our vehicle or at our house or a place of work. We have access to other things. So you can have a broader, EDC that's kind of off your person, right? Like your vehicle is kind of an EDC. That's a whole nother topic for another day. Whether you carry a backpack with you most of the time, that's a whole nother piece of line gear. And I'm all about that sort of mindset when it comes to having certain things. Like it's just nice to have things with you at different times for different purposes. But my staple EDC items, I kind of have 5 main things I like to have on me at all times. Subject to change. I'm constantly kind of tinkering with things or changing things up, but I always have these 5 things covered, and I'm going to kind of go over them in no particular order, right? So obviously we all carry phone, wallet, keys. I'm not going to get into that. Like those are kind of just normal things everybody carries for the most part. All right, so I'm going to talk about these items kind of in no particular order. Some of these things are exactly the same ones I've been carrying for years, but some of you guys might not have been following the channel. I might not have seen my old EDC video I did like a year ago. So this is kind of like my 2025 EDC. But I'm going to start with my flashlight. So I'm a huge fan of having some kind of flashlight on your person. We all have our phone. Phone's a good tool because it has a flashlight on it. That's awesome for just like administrative things when you need it. But I like to have a dedicated handheld with me at all times for a lot of reasons, right? It's dark half the time of the day for most of us where we live. Plus, you can find yourself in a situation where you need a light even during the day if you're in a dim lit environment, or if the power goes out, or you need to go crawl underneath a vehicle and check on something, or you need to go in a crawl space and you need to be able to see. Having a flashlight's just handy. I use this more than I use anything else that I carry. This is just a Streamlight ProTac 2LX. Had it for years. It's a good size that it fits in a pocket fairly well, but it's also big enough that I can get my hand on it and actually like get a good purchase on it. I'm not a big fan of teeny tiny lights for the most part, but just have a light on you of some sort. I recommend that. This is a dual fuel light. I'm a big fan of dual fuel. And what that means is it can run on rechargeables or standard lithium batteries. So this one will take 18650 rechargeables. They're awesome. They're pretty proven at this point. Just get reputable ones. But I like to have a rechargeable because I can just top this thing off ever so often, and I know I have a light that's going to work. And I'm not, getting to the bottom end of batteries and having to swap out all the time. I like to be able to just top off a rechargeable, but I like the fact that I can just throw CR123As in this as well if I want to just run regular batteries, or if this one dies on me. As long as I have access to regular batteries, I can always get this thing going again. I like that. Dual fuel's cool. I like to run dual fuel in a lot of my rifle mounted lights as well. So yeah, where I have this on my person, whether I have cargo pockets or jeans, it kind of changes. If I'm wearing jeans, I don't have as many pockets to choose from. So I will put this on my support side rear pocket most of the time. And that's because I want to be accessible with my support hand. For obvious reasons, this hand might be preoccupied with a gun. and just the fact that I like to do more administrative things with the support side, so it frees this one up just in case I did need to use it again for gun related things. And just in general, I like my support hand to be the thing that the one that I'm using the light with. So it just makes sense to have it on my support side. So that's something to think about, where you actually put your EDC items. Make sure it makes sense. Make sure you can actually get to them with the hands that you need to get to them with, right? I know it's kind of common sense, but some guys don't think into that enough. Let me get to the next thing. All right, so next up, cutting tool. I'm a big fan of having a knife on me of some sort. Usually it's just a folder because I'm not, out in the woods bushcrafting. Typically, if I'm out doing that, I want to have a better fixed blade with me. I always have a good fixed blade somewhere nearby, but just a simple folder really gets the job done for most cutting tasks. And let's be honest, a knife is mostly used for just cutting things open, like boxes, bags, things like that, more administrative tasks. Now, it absolutely could be used for other things as well. So I like having a knife on me for that purpose as well, but having it just to cut things open, a simple folding knife is going to work. This is just a Kershaw. Which one is? I think it's the Link. It's basically their cheapest USA made one. I've had it for years. It's pretty salty as well, and it just works. It's had some chipping on the edge a little bit. I've had to clean up over the years, and I even had to reprofile the actual tip of the blade because it broke. It's just a cheap knife. I'm not a big fan of running an expensive folder, but it's up to you. Do whatever you want. I tend to lose these things or have them get caught on a seatbelt and, they get yanked out of my pants, that sort of thing. So I don't want to have something that costs a couple $100 in my pocket, just because I tend to find myself losing pocket knives, that sort of thing. This one I've had for a long time though, so it's been with me a while. So when I do want to carry a fixed blade, because I have been carrying fixed blade more often, I've always liked a good fixed blade knife. I really like the SC Azula. It's been around for a long time. These little blades are awesome. A lot of guys have been running these for a long time, and they're a little dated in some aspects now just because of the actual steel being a 1095 steel. I really like 1095 knives, but there are a lot of better options as far as steel on the market now. But I still find myself wanting to go to just a simple SC Azula. Lifetime warranty on these knives. They're awesome. I'll either carry it in like their standard sheath. It works, has a decent belt clip on it. You can conceal it pretty good. Or I will carry it in like an armatus carry, scout carry Kydex sheath. Really awesome, depending on how you want to have it on you. Carrying a fixed blade is kind of a niche thing. I really like it. A lot of guys will pocket carry fixed blades and they'll have some kind of clip that makes it so they can still access the knife without the sheath coming out with it. So that's kind of something to look into if you're thinking about carrying a fixed blade. It's not as simple as just throwing a pocket knife in your pocket with a clip. You got to really think through it a little bit and how you're going to actually carry it. Unless you just want to have it kind of just open carry on your belt, that's fine too, depending on where you live, that sort of thing. So yeah, I like the SC Azula. Awesome knife. So continuing with my support side, pockets. I carry a tourniquet on me at all times for obvious reasons. We may be out and may have to use a tourniquet on somebody that has a really nasty injury. Obviously, if we're somewhere and there's some kind of shooting related injury, a tourniquet's probably nice to have. They're proven, and it's commonplace now in our industry that you should have a tourniquet somewhere nearby, if not on your person at all times. Because if you need a tourniquet, you need it right now. There is no, I'll go to the truck and get it. Like, somebody needs a tourniquet, they need a tourniquet like ASAP, like 30 seconds. Let's get this tourniquet on. Like, we don't have much time. So I'm a big fan of having a tourniquet on me at all times. It's not the easiest thing to EDC because they are bulky. I'm a big fan of the Cat Gen 7s. That's what I typically have on most of my kit. But they're a little bulky to throw in a pocket unless you're going to wear cargo pockets all the time. I like a soft T wide, because it can be folded up pretty small. There's videos on how to do it if you guys want to see that. Do a little research on that. But you can fold up a soft T wide pretty small, and for me it fits pretty good in the front of a jean pocket. Still fairly accessible with both hands, but at least I have one on me. It's not going to automatically fix problems just having one on you. You got to know how to use it. You got to train with it, that sort of thing. I'm big on tourniquets, so make sure you guys do some due diligence, research, make sure you're buying real ones, not crappy knockoffs. You don't want to just have a feel-good product where you think you have something that's going to save lives. You want something that's actually going to work. So have a real quality tourniquet. If you're not paying like $30 or more, it's probably a fake, just for general rule of thumb. So yeah, I like that soft T wide for my pocket EDC. They just work pretty well. Not as easy to put on yourself. Like a Cat Gen 7 is way easier to self-apply. The soft T wides, they're a little bit more challenging to do one-handed. So just train through that. I'll admit it, I don't train enough on it. I definitely need to start putting it into my training regimen. But it's something you definitely need to be doing and training on. But still great to have. You just got to know how to use it. All right, and we'll get into gun stuff in a second. But to start, I carry a spare mag in my pocket for obvious reasons. Nice to have an extra mag with you in case you have a malfunction with the one in your gun, or God forbid you need extra ammo. Just nice to have an extra mag. So I like to have one on me. That's kind of my baseline, is to have a gun and then a spare mag. All right, let's get into gun carry now, because that's kind of the thing that most guys are excited about, most guys are into. Is EDC to most guys is their firearm, and that's great. I still kind of challenge you guys to focus on medical, because that is more likely something you're going to use on a day-to-day than your gun. Don't get me wrong, I don't go anywhere without one, but don't lack on medical. Now, some guys get really into the weeds on it. They carry like the ankle kits. I think that's awesome. Like having an actual trauma kit on your person, that's like next level. And I think those guys are awesome that do that all the time, because they are walking around. Hopefully they're trained as well, but ready to actually save lives. And I think that's awesome. It's a little more challenging to have a full-blown med kit on you. Like I said, some guys wear an ankle kit. Do that. That's awesome. Fanny packs are awesome for medical as well. I do that sometimes, and I always have one in the truck or close by. So there is at least one within, a little bit of a distance, especially if you guys are going to the range, you're doing things that involve shooting, or in your vehicle. Obviously, vehicles are somewhere that we're going to be, that we may come across accidents and people having trauma. So having a med kit in your vehicle, or especially in your range bag, easily accessible, good thing to do. So anyway, let's get back to gun stuff. So I haven't been much of an appendix carry fan, not necessarily a fan, just I haven't done much appendix carry for most of my life, until maybe a year ago I started getting into it. I've never really been against it. I've just typically been an outside the waistband, like 3 o'clock ish, more like 2:30, 3 o'clock kind of guy. I'm a little bit bigger framed. I can usually get away with carrying a gun outside the waistband depending on what I'm wearing. But this year, I really started getting into appendix carry, especially in the summer months when you're just wearing a t-shirt and you want to go out. It's so nice just to be able to slip a holster in the front appendix. And I think there's a lot of negativity towards appendix carry, and a lot of it's just guys not knowing. At the end of the day, if you're not trained and you don't put the time in, it doesn't matter what holster you have, where the holster is, doesn't matter what gun setup you have, you're a liability, right? And that might offend some guys, but where your holster is on your person is irrelevant. You need to train to be proficient regardless of how you carry, right? So appendix can and is a very safe way to carry if you're competent, and if you know what you're doing. So guys that are still on the bandwagon of making it seem like it's such a dangerous way to carry, they're usually old fuds, and I apologize if I offend you guys, like I said, but you're just kind of dated at this point in your way of thinking. Quality holsters nowadays, quality guns, and good training and discipline, especially finger discipline and reholstering discipline, that's the key. I'm not a fan of flying back into the holster for anybody, whether it's a duty holster, appendix, just an outside the waistband, inside the waistband, doesn't matter to me. I don't like guys just flying back into the holster without looking. I want to be able to holster without looking if I have to, but I'm not training to that standard. It's something that I do every time, especially with a hot gun, flying back in the holster like a lot of guys do. I'm fast to get out of the holster. I'm going to be reluctant to go back into the holster. That's just a little tip there for you guys. So that appendix rig that I like right now, and don't focus too much on the brand. There's a lot of good ones out there. Just the one I'm using right now is the T-Rex Arms Raptor. This is their newer version. I really like the Raptor holster over their sidecar that has the second attachment, just because I like that the belt clips aren't as wide as far as spread apart. It allows me to use a standard belt without having to move the belt buckle off to the side. I can just get away with pushing it towards one of my other belt loops, and then I still get to run this one, and it's real comfortable. Real quick before I forget, I'm just running a core belt, the ratcheting style belt. I've been using these for years. Overall, I like them. Super comfortable. They're one of the best ways to carry as far as being able to loosen and tighten on the fly without looking too awkward. It's just real nice to be able to do. Depending on what you're wearing, makes it easy. So I really like the core ratcheting belts. But I like this holster as well. I run a little Velcro on, like, I don't know if it's neoprene, little gel pad on the back. I forget exactly who makes it. I'll look it up if I remember, and I'll put it in editing for you guys. I think I got it on Amazon. There's different foam type wedges guys put on these. That really does make a difference for comfort running an appendix rig, in my opinion. So good clips, having one of these claws on the side just to help with that offset of making this thing not print as much, and then having some kind of pad here. Awesome. That's the way to go. It definitely takes a little getting used to. I wasn't a huge fan of appendix for a long time because I never gave it a chance. But once I started really getting into it, I can see why guys have been, really loving this setup for years now. And I'm a little bit late to the party, but I like it. And I've put enough time in now that I'm real confident running an appendix rig. So I run that T-Rex Arms Raptor for that. I'll go over a couple other holsters now that I run when I'm doing other things. All right, guys, a couple other holsters I use depending on the way I want to carry. I like to carry outside the waistband for comfort, depending on what I'm wearing. This time of year, if I'm wearing jackets just around the house, it's nice not to have something in the front of my pants. So I like it outside the waistband. I've been using this T-Rex Arms iron side holster for a while now, pretty much since they came out. And I've had really good experiences with this so far. Just a simple outside the waistband Kydex holster. They're kind of hard to mess up. There's a lot of different companies that make them. This is just the one I use, and it works really well for me. I like it. Now, if I'm at home and I'm out and about in the yard, that sort of thing, I like to carry with a Safariland Level 2 holster. So if you guys don't know, I'm LE full-time, so I'm used to running a duty style holster rig most of the time. So I'm no stranger to this style of holster. This is just a typical paddle version with this holster. If I'm running a light, specifically I'm at home doing things, I'm outside, I will throw a light back on my EDC and I will carry this outside the waistband, obviously, especially when I'm out at the house on the property doing homestead stuff. It's just nice to have like the duty setup on without having to have a whole belt set up. So I like a Safariland for that. I will at times actually wear this out. I'm not wearing it out to dinner, that sort of thing. But if I'm going out and about doing things, getting some errands done, going over to the cabin, something like that, I'll run this, especially if I'm wearing a jacket, because it is nice to have a duty style holster with retention from time to time. So I'll talk EDC handgun real quick. So everyone's a little different, so you're going to find kind of what works for you. I'm a full-size handgun kind of guy. I think guys can kind of tell. I have bigger hands. I don't like shooting little guns. If I could, and if I like to, I would carry a smaller gun, but I like a full-size grip, and I like a full-size gun in general. So I carry a Glock 47. This is actually the same gun I use for work. I have a dot on top. If you're not running a red dot yet, you should. You absolutely should get into the game with red dots. You need to put a little bit of work in. But once you are confident in running a dot, you're not going to want to go back to irons. Dots are just the way. They're reputable at this point. Just get one that works, that sort of thing. So yeah, I'm a huge fan of running red dots. I run 19 round Glock mags typically. It's kind of my go-to because I like to have those 2 extra rounds, and I like to have a longer mag for indexing when I'm doing reloads or any type of mag exchanges. I like having that little bit extended base plate. Now, when I carry a spare mag, sometimes it's a 19, sometimes it's just a 17. Just kind of is what it is, depending on the day or what I'm doing. But I like these 19 rounders. I run a little bit of grip tape on my grip, gives me just a little more purchase. And you guys can tell, and I kind of already said it, I don't typically run a light on my EDC guns. So for work, for home defense stuff, I want a light on everything. I want a light on every long gun that I'm using for any type of homestead stuff or defensive purposes. I want a light on most things. So I don't want to sound like a huge hypocrite on that. But when I EDC and I'm concealed carrying, I just like to have a simple non-light bearing holster for my gun. I'm carrying that Streamlight in my back pocket as my main light source. If I get into something where I need a light on my handgun EDC, it could happen, absolutely, but I'm kind of taking a little bit of a risk for comfort and just for simplicity of me running more simple holsters in my mind to not have to use a light all the time, unless I'm using that Safariland holster. But for my typical setup, I like to run non-light holsters, and I like to run this gun just like this. I'll throw a light on it when I use it for work, and when I get home typically, and throw it in the Safariland holster, I'll throw a light on it then. And that's kind of something that guys are going to have an opinion on, and that's fine. If you want to carry a light as your EDC, I think it's awesome. Definitely do it, especially if guys are running like the size 19, Glock 19 size guns, and you run like a TLR 7 as like an EDC light. It's kind of flush with the 19. A lot of holsters out there for those now. That's a great setup. This is just what I have and use, so I like to carry it like this. All right, guys, I really appreciate you watching. I hope you got something out of it. If you like this content, please consider subscribing. Hit that thumbs up like button. Share it with your buddies if it's something that would interest them. And consider giving me a comment down below. I enjoy your feedback. And if you want to support us in any other way, check out our website, WingateSolutionsLLC.com. Make handmade 2-point minimalist rifle slings, sling retention straps, holster leg straps. We got some other cool things on there. So check that out. And if you want to follow us on Instagram, it's at Wingate Solutions on Instagram. But all right, guys, I really appreciate you. Till next time, get out and train.